that good?
Yeah, that looks better.
I hope you don't need anything meaningful out of this next hour because I can't promise anything.
I was expecting some like life-changing heart.
Anything you say is going to be more meaningful than what we're going to say. So.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
well,
what I meant.
Let me.
Should we
just
get Zach's
charge that
sign
up.
and just like set it in front of us? We're
Maybe we could if you want to. Zach, could you grab that real quick?
He's like been set up, and we're like, "Rah!"
I've been here forever. You can.
Nice,
This way,
dude. Everything's backwards, and it's really tough.
Who put fingerprints all over it?
That would be you.
That was not me.
I'll keep it off to the side.
You know,
and we'll
you know
just,
how
like,
much I
snag
cleaned
it.
that before you saw
I'm
it.
just kidding. It was definitely Kyle. He was like, "Look at this sign," and like, with his hand
I was like,
ah! He's like, "This is
It's
really
like,
nice."
oh my gosh, look! If you touch it, there's a fingerprint.
Jeez.
Lord. Well, we're back again. It's our second podcast.
We
Oh, yeah.
haven't gone viral yet. And
I'm disappointed.
I'm not sure if Post Malone has subscribed yet.
I looked and he is not a subscriber, unfortunately. We need to up our game.
Wow.
But anyway, we have our friend Zack Harrison here today.
Hey, Zach.
Hey, everybody!
What's going on?
All two of you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna spend this whole hour pretending this isn't my first podcast ever.
Well, this is our second podcast ever, so
Well, thanks. Twice.
we have
So we're all
twice the
veterans
experience,
Just rub
yeah.
it in a little bit. Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
cool. I think personally, what I would like to talk about, just having you on, is we've worked together a lot through the past few years, especially in different facets, whether it was the music production or now with your sign business and things. And it's just really cool watching you thrive and succeed in that. So
Thanks,
you want to give Kyle, probably doesn't know as much.
I don't.
Just kind of talk
yeah.
to us, kind of give, I guess, maybe tell Kyle some of your backstory with that.
Yeah. All right, Kyle. You ready? Here
I'm
it is.
ready.
This is my whole life right now. We're
All
gonna.
right.
No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, my name's Zack Harrison. I am a maker and a business owner. Let's see. I am 27. No, 26. Yeah, 26. I can't believe it. I do it every time.
It's going to get worse.
Honestly,
It just gets worse.
It happens every time. My wife, she's the one that kind of keeps me in check on that. I'm not kidding.
Make sure
I guess
you know how old you are.
Yeah,
at
I
all
mean, I
times.
have so much stuff fighting for space in my brain. I guess apparently that's not an important one. So I just I never remember.
Yeah.
I got in trouble with that last week trying to fill out paperwork. So it's fine. But no, yeah. So business owner, I guess. Let's see. I have successful business and a failed business and startups and all sorts of stuff. Which one would you like to know about
So
first?
when you say failed business, what do you mean by that?
Well, a business that I
What do you
sold
consider-
out of, it was just time. Now, partly because of my decisions, partly because of the circumstances of the world. Everybody kind of got hit and, had to make some changes in life during the pandemic, and that was one of mine. Before the company I have now, I had a recording studio. That's what I actually have my degree in, is audio production and everything like that. And yeah,
Which helped us set this podcast up just now.
I just-
We don't know
That's
what we're
fine.
doing.
but no,
Where did you go to school?
I went to Full Sail University.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I went to 3 separate schools because I'm just
He's
not
that
good.
smart.
Yeah, that's it. Let's go with that one. But no, I finished at Full Sail University. It was a way. I was traveling full time doing music at the time. It was the easiest way for me to finish school while being able to travel full time because it was all online and all that stuff. So
That's crazy. I don't think I knew you went to Full Sail. That's awesome. So
Yeah,
you
I'm still
consider
paying on
your recording studio, you consider that to be a failed business?
I would say so. Now,
Or
was
it
it?
a lesson?
I mean, yeah, but was it a failed business because of bad decisions I made? I don't know. But ultimately, I feel like it failed. There became a very apparent, I guess, end date of, okay, this isn't going to work beyond this point. And I didn't have the ability to outlast the shutdowns and the music industry having absolutely nothing. And
I mean, it's kind of a tough location to run a successful recording
Central
business.
Arkansas is
That's what I was gonna ask.
it's
Now,
a really popping place.
There's some music, but if you want to do that on your own, you need to be in Nashville.
right, yeah.
I was going
And-
to say, how much do you feel like it is location versus the whole COVID thing? And
I
it
would
just like a perfect storm?
say I was holding my own before the pandemic happened. Was I making a lot of money? Absolutely not. But was I able to sustain what the business was trying to do at the time? Yes, I was able to do that. Wasn't easy. It never really got beyond the point. There's different phases of business and like or the seasons of life with your business, and mine never got beyond like the side hustle portion of that, to where it was like self-employment. Like I never got to that point. And when the pandemic happened and if musicians can't make money, a recording studio can't make money. I was able to survive a little bit for a lot longer than I thought, because I got partnered with a church and produced their online gatherings, and that's where we did a ton of work together and grew a ton in that time. And
Lots of live productions.
yeah, and I think we did. I mean, it was over 30 weeks in a row that we did
a lot of recording
music and everything like that for. And you can really tell it's cool. Just as a side note, it was really cool. You can tell if you watch the first one compared to the last one, you can see the drastic amount of growth that happened in that 30 weeks or whatever.
So. It was really cool because that was like the birth of our business as well, of like the whole shutdown and things, and we're like, hey, we could just do this full time. And I do think that season of life for me was a very developmental season. It wasn't necessarily the most fun because we were putting out so much content. That was a lot of work, but I do feel like personally my skill level grew drastically through that, of setting up and turning out content like every week really fast,
creating systems, being able to make something repetitive and also like establish a quality line that was exactly what we needed, but also finding ways to make ourselves more efficient, for things to look better, for things to feel better.
I was doing that, and we were also doing like the 10 Fitness at home stuff or whatever that was called. Like, so it was like I was doing like that was weekly like content
and so you got like thrown into it from basically nothing at that,
from like a very hobby freelance side of it to like, oh, you're doing this every week at a high level and like really fast turnarounds. So
but it was cool because I don't think that business was successful by any means. It held its own, and it paid for itself for the most part, and like, but I never got to like take home a great amount of money or anything like that. But it was really fun, and I'm very proud of all the work that we did. I have zero regrets. The best thing about my experience with that business was like I have 3 friends that are very close that got to really like excel in their areas because of the opportunities that business presented. Whether it was a buddy of mine named Edward, who was similar to you, like he had been doing videography for a little while, and did but like through some of the videos, like that was the content that he used for interviews that got him a full-time job, where now he's doing great. He's blown up, like
he's very consistent with it.
And he's doing a great job. But that was really awesome to get to be a part of that beginning. Same thing with you. Like it was very much a hobby thing whenever you started helping me out with that kind of stuff. And then to get to see now where like you make your living off of doing that was really awesome. And then a buddy named Alex, who like, because of the situation in which I sold the business, he was able to lean on all the equipment and stuff like that through the avenue that we sold it. And so it got to the work kept happening afterwards. So that was super fulfilling. And that was, if nothing else, that was way worth the whole experience,
Right.
And I learned a ton from it, and it really shaped and stretched me in a way that, put me on the path to where I'm able to do what I do today. So,
So you sold OAKLAWN Studios?
Yeah. Well, I liquidated all of the equipment and then closed out the LLC. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Do you still like enjoy any audio production, or are you do you do it at all at this point, other than I know you do it a little bit at church?
Yeah, I serve as a production director at the church that we go to, and so I do it. I have like 5 hours a week invested into it. Is it fun? I think at this point in our life, it's not as fun because we've got so many other moving pieces happening. But I will say, like, when the time hop stuff comes around and the videos that we've put out comes around, it's like, man, I love that stuff, and I would still love to jump into it. It's just not the season of life in which I have time for it, or I could do it to a quality that I've already like got used to or anything like that. So it's one of those things that, you know, I've just kind of put on the shelf for the time being, and maybe we'll come back to it at some point.
The better question, maybe reward that. Do you ever get that like creative itch to do that, or is what you're doing now kind of?
I think there's a healthy balance of both. You know, sometimes I get that like, man, I would love to do it, but also like, Zach, you don't have a time to be able to do this and stay healthy. Like, because we're running really fast paced as it is right now with everything. So
you're freaking killing it.
So yeah.
So
both.
That leads into now that you quit that, or you sold that job out and then started OAKLAWN shop at the time.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what that is and how it evolved into OAKLAWN Sign Company.
So yeah, I guess I should say I currently own 3 businesses.
Wait a minute. Can I go back a little more?
Yeah, please.
Because didn't you convert old stereos to Bluetooth things or something like that?
That was a fun
When
season
was
of
that in the
life, too.
timeline?
Zach is like a creator and a craftsman that like he's going to be successful no matter what he does. It's just like which one's he going to do.
This is what's interesting because I want Zach to speak on his own behalf about this whole trajectory. And Jacob's been a little closer and watching in proximity, and I've kind of seen from afar mostly. But I've always like really related with Zach because I have not a formal audio production background, but I've been recording music since I was 12, and we both have that like mutual interest, and we both are just doers. Like we just do stuff. We like to make stuff.
Yeah.
So I always watch just these different projects kind of evolve.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder where this is going to end up because it's cool. It's all cool, and it's always been like very high level, but just kind of, I was just watching the progression like through everything. So when in the timeline was that? Was that pre OAKLAWN Studios?
Yeah. Honestly, I completely forgot about it. No, so yeah, there was, and I didn't originate the idea. I got it from a buddy who had done it for a little while, and he just didn't. He had family, and life was crazy. He didn't have the time to do it. So that was a business called Retrofile that we would take old radios from like the 70s, 80s, and we would pull the guts out, put Bluetooth technology in, but keep the sound and the knob functions and everything of the old radios. And it was super, super sick. But all of the like TV shows about antiquing and all that kind of stuff drove the price way up. And then it got super trendy to have old radios and stuff on your shelf, and it was just impossible to find. And then the components to make it also got hard, just to where you couldn't run a business off of it. But yeah, that was a really fun season. That was before.
I think I was in Springdale. Like I was not at City Church at this point at all.
Yeah, that was probably 2015, 16 in there.
It's like right when I first started coming around, you were kind of on the end of it.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that.
Because then you had OAKLAWN Studios, and I was like, okay, audio
you also
production.
But turned like old landline phones into microphones. And things like that.
So, so listen, my wife tells me all the time that I was born in the wrong time. Like if I was born in the 70s, I would be thriving, kind of thing. Or I guess 60s. Growing up in the 70s, I'd be thriving because that's like everything the
era that you just did.
I'm drawn to it in all forms and fashion.
Bus and stuff.
Yes. So my Volkswagen bus is a 73, and I'm just drawn to that area or era of life, and it's so cool and fascinating to me. And so when the thing about me is I do have an old soul, and anybody who spends time around me, it becomes evident really quick, and like. I really appreciate and have a respect for how like things got to where they are today. So within the industry, music industry, I would always take old equipment from 60s, 70s, old microphones and stuff like that, and incorporate them into modern uses to kind of like create a hybrid of old and new. Same thing with the radios. Now I do that within my sign business where I take old techniques and I try to bring a modern taste to them where like it utilizes modern technology, but also like has the old traditional feel and stuff like that. Just because like there's a level of craftsmanship with all of that stuff that's older. Like things weren't mass produced as easily. Like you actually had to like when people design products, they didn't do it on a computer. They built models, and then like it was transferred into the product, you know, like, so there's just a level of craftsmanship that's completely different, that I really appreciate. So I've always kind of leaned into the old stuff, tried to bring it out to the new where it made sense, and like, how do we bridge the two and make something really beautiful and creative out of it? So
that's awesome. Whatever happened to that telephone booth?
When I sold all of my equipment, it's currently at the studio, City Church.
He turned a telephone booth into like an audio, like
like
into a vocal
sound
booth.
yeah.
That's cool. That's super cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been the whole story of my life. I've always taken stuff, pulled it apart, figured out something new I wanted to do with it, and you know, made it whatever it is. So we moved to Conway. I moved to Conway 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago. And I moved to Conway to help plant a church that we've all been a part of at some point. And that's what brought me to Conway. That's what got me started on the journey. And then through that, I made a bunch of relationships. One with a guy who helped me like figure out the radio stuff and do that. I've traveled full time with the band for a little while as I was finishing up college. They got an opportunity to work full time in California, and I said, no, that's not what I wanted to do. So I decided to stay, but I had these skill sets and everything built up to where like I decided to start the recording business. And then, you know, pandemic happens, everything. It did not make sense for me to continue to try to run a audio business when there was no market whatsoever. When I was already having a hard time finding customers and stuff like that, just because of the area that we're in. So my grandfather was a carpenter. My grandmother was a dairy farmer turned computer scientist, which is just a wild combo. But no, she worked at a company called Eaton for a long time. My dad is a computer scientist, and then my mom is a nurse. So like there's all avenues of very driven individuals that work really hard. And so but I grew up on a farm working with my grandpa nearly every weekend. And so built up a lot of experience like crafting, creating things. And that's what the idea of the OAKLAWN shop, that was kind of what came out of knowing and becoming aware that there was an end date on the audio business. Okay, I don't have a way to revitalize that. And the world was so like, because we had the initial shutdown, right, and then things opened back up, and that's when like the churches started meeting, so I didn't have that to lean on as far as a weekly production or anything like that. But concerts were still getting canceled left and right, because as like the fall and winter happened, nobody knew, you know, all the variants were coming out, whatever, and so it was like just ramping back up. So it became very clear this isn't going to last. I can't outlast how long this is going to take. So anyways, and what's really funny is everything started with me buying like this little desktop laser engraver and buying coaster blanks off Amazon, little 4x4 wood blanks. And I just started engraving designs onto coasters. And that was probably probably May or June of 2020. And and I sold like 600 or 800 coasters in the matter of a couple of months. And I was like, what is this? Yeah. But it sparked the idea of, hey, this may be a new opportunity that's coming along. Like, you really enjoy creating stuff. Like, what if you created things that were like custom for people? I was drawn to the term of being a maker, which basically just making things with your hands for pay, like not even for pay, but just making things. And that's what kind of started, and I called it the OAKLAWN shop. And my business, the recording business, was called OAKLAWN Studios. That was a street that I had actually started all of it. Yeah, I figured that was coming. Yeah. So there's nothing important about it other than the street that I had started all of it on, and it just kind of rolled off the tongue well. And so, yeah, I started the OAKLAWN shop doing that, and just started making all sorts of stuff. Then I had an opportunity to buy the sign making portion of a marketing company. and bought that, and then that like rolled forward into creating the OAKLAWN Sign Company, and now that's kind of what I've got going really hard right now. I've got 3 businesses. I've got the OAKLAWN shop is still legally a business but I'm just not putting a lot of focus into it. It's kind of on the back burner for some stuff I've got planned down the road. I have my personal brand that is designated as a business, and then I've got the OAKLAWN Sign Company. And so the sign company is what I'm putting, 80% of my effort into right now, just because I'm trying to build that up and, make something out of it. So
you're killing it.
I've been talking for a while, so it's somebody else's
I
turn.
love it.
I'm very intrigued and engaged.
This is awesome. And you are really good at what you do, and you're making signs for us, and we're really stoked about it.
Well, thanks, man.
I also would like to hear more about, like, I feel like when you first started, you were doing the OAKLAWN shops a lot more, doing like build outs on things and some of those laser things. But now you're very much more a sign company. Like,
Right.
How did you decide I'm going to niche down into this industry and really focus on?
So the big thing was, what I kind of touched on a little bit earlier was I needed to make a transition from being a side hustle to like a self-employment thing. Okay. And so, because there's different phases of a business where it's your side hustle, your self-employment, where the business is operating itself. And then when your business is operating beyond you, and that's like the goal for me was to get to that point of, because I have, like I said earlier, I've got so many things that just pop in my head and so many ideas and things like that. Like, I have so many business ideas that I really want to jump on at some point in time. But to do that, I've got to set myself up for success and be able to provide for my family first, and be able to, propel me to be able to where I can dip my toes in the water with these other ideas. Okay, so with the OAKLAWN shop, I was really leaning in hard on custom fabrication, and that's what is honestly super fun for me. I really love doing it. It's what is really fulfilling. But the hard part is it's really hard to make money off of it. And so on the flip side of that, with the sign company, any new business, there's tons of people out that every day want to start their own business, start their own thing. There's always a need to communicate your brand through that. And so through like the signage or vinyl graphics or things like that. So for me, it became a strategic move of my chess piece that I'm moving forward at the moment into attack position is to get the sign company sustainable and operating itself to where I can lean more into the passion driven stuff. Because, the ultimate goal for my sign company is that in 5 years, I'm not actually physically making signs. And I'm setting it up now, building it out now to where, like, as people join on or as it grows, like, it's communicated, hey, I'm not going to be the person that has every hand on every little thing moving forward. Like, I'm trying to build it out in a way to, where it is sustainable and it's still something I have my hand in, but it allows me to fuel the passion-driven stuff that I really love doing. I really love creating stuff that people, like, they're just so confused on, hey, I have this great idea, but I don't know where to find it, where I can buy it or anything like that. Like, I love being the answer to that question, So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
really good at doing that as well.
Yeah, you have a good attention to detail and just really creative ways of going about kind of obscure issues you might come across in a design or whatever. It's really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
I personally have been blessed to be able to work with both of you guys. Are very similar in a lot of those ways of being just like, I think y'all are both Enneagram 5s and like just craftsmen. And so like, it's like very opposite of my personality that I like want to bulldoze everything and go full speed ahead. But y'all like take the time to make sure things are done, like not just right, but like perfect and like perfect those things. And it's just really cool to watch you guys both do that, because it makes me strive to want to be better at those things, because that's not my tendency. And so I'm like, I need to slow down and do better at this stuff. So
well, thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
That's what I think. So you can do a business just to do business and make money. But if ideally you would do something you're actually enjoy doing, you feel
Sure.
like is doing something bigger than what you are. And
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I love making signs. It's
No,
fun.
but exactly,
I
it's
love making money.
It's a way of kind of twisting the things that you are passionate about into a more like reasonable, like high demand
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
opportunity
Yeah.
and build that up and get it sustainable where
Yeah.
you can. That's kind of where
we're in
we're
the
at.
same
We're in the same boat.
spot, and we love shooting videos and stuff, but we don't want to shoot all these types of videos, and we want to scale this to where some of it's sustainable by itself. And then me and Kyle are passionate about certain industries that we want to just do those really well and work together and have fun on those.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's what can set the types of businesses that we both are in apart, is actually being fueled by the creative end and wanting to be creative rather than wanting to just make money doing it.
Sure.
We of course want to make money because we
Right.
want to provide for our families and whoever's families we're kind of,
Yeah. Yeah.
responsible for. But I don't think if you have that passion, you can get past that point of doing really high level, extremely unique, creative
Right.
things.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, I think we're all blessed to be able to do things that we are passionate about, because I wake up every day and I'm excited to get to work and do this stuff.
Yeah, same.
It's like I'm tired a lot of times, and it's sometimes my brain hurts.
I'm
but
excited to do like video stuff.
Yeah, but the business stuff is hard. Like
Business
it's
stuff is
really
hard
freaking hard
for me.
and-
So you seem like, so he's saying we're both Enneagram 5s. He's all into.
I'm
the
sorry,
Enneagram
I'm
stuff.
just telling y'all
It's
what you
okay.
are.
That's
No,
fine.
but
I'm down
like
for it.
I feel very relatable to you in a lot of regards, like with being a maker and like just wanting to make. I've always just liked making all sorts of different things. That's why I love what we do, because we get to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it looks different every day.
I
Yeah.
love that. I can't do the same thing over and over, and I've tried to niche down and just draw or just video or just photo. I have to do everything.
Sure.
And music is always audio production. Like that's 80% of why I like the music that I like, is because of the production. So, and I love that stuff. But you also sound like a very sound business person, and like you have very like tangible goals you have and kind of bricks you can lay to reach those goals. And it seems like you've got your failed businesses or whatever you want to call it, but it's
got
all
that
just kind of
wisdom.
directing the way to
Sure.
to hone in on what's
Yeah.
going to be the long term.
Yeah. Well,
Nobody's first job in anything is their final job. So I don't see starting a
Dang.
business as anything else. But have you always like, do you feel like you're good at business, or do you enjoy that end of things, or did you have to learn that?
I like the idea factory part of business. I like to create solutions to problems. I like to problem solve. I hate the back end of the business stuff. That's the part that is really
Does
stretches
anybody
me.
like that? Like
Some people
Are there
do.
people that like that?
And
Yeah,
if
not
you're
us.
one of them, please hit me up,
Yeah.
because I'm like, it's one of those things where that's the part of the business. Like honestly, I could shoot myself in the foot really quickly by getting really excited and doing the job, and then being like, well, they got to pay me for it. It's one of those things. I like the creation part of it. I like the idea of creating a business. I have all these ideas for stuff that could be really fun, really unique, and really profitable. But yeah, I think the thing is that, like, for me, I'm playing a long game here. So like my wife and I have made a decision to stay in Conway, to set our roots in Conway and establish a legacy in Conway. To do that, I could do a sign company for 30 years and be perfectly happy. But my ability to build reach and build like influence in Conway would be fairly limited. So with all these other things that we have in mind, like for 30 years to go by and us reflect over our life and say we've impacted where we've been and created influence and and really had purpose behind what we're doing. It means that I've got to look at things from a 30,000 foot view and say, okay, 10 years this is where we're going. But in the next 5 years, this is what we're going to do to be able to push us to the next 10 years, if that makes sense. That's kind of my approach to business too. Like with the sign company, it's really easy for me to say, this is really great. I really enjoy it. This is not what's going to be my forever, So how do I set things up now to be able to, where it's not, like, because some people will get to a point where they want out of the business, or they want it to not be everything, what they do every day. They want that part where they get to, do the stuff they want to do, but they haven't set their business up in a way to do that. And then it ultimately collapses in on itself because they put so much dependence on what they touch and what they do. And so like being able to see that happen to people, it gives me a motivation to, from the beginning of, because I've only been doing this full time for a year now, which is nuts. And the business has really grown in a year, which is awesome. But like for me to be able to set myself up long term means I got to make the decisions now, do the little stuff now that's super annoying to do, like go ahead and pay for the QuickBooks membership that like, not really big enough to need it now, but I need to be able to establish the system so that I can just bring somebody in and they can just operate in it, and that kind of stuff. That's a small, tangible way. But
yeah, I sent you a book a little bit ago, and it talks about just like essentially working yourself out of a job and building a business that runs without you. Because if it doesn't run without you, you own a job, not a business.
Yeah.
So
well, and that's like how do you make the separation, make the how do you separate your work from the rest of your life?
Yeah.
If you're consumed by your work, then you're going to get burnt out.
Right.
Like if and there's a balance there, because as you guys know, when you're starting something up, you've got to put a ton of time into it, and you've also got to be like, it's a huge ask from your family too, and everybody's going to be on the same page of, hey, for the next little while this is going to be hard, and we're going to be really busy, and I'm going to be gone a lot, and I'm going to be down in the shop working late at night when you're asleep and when you want me to be in bed. But like and which is just is a testament to how awesome and blessed I am with my family. My wife is incredible. She like supports me, believes in me, like, which is huge. But like, there's a balance there of not being consumed by your work, which I've tiptoed in very dangerously. But setting yourself up in this way allows there to be a time and allows you to be disciplined to where, like, okay, yeah, it may be really hard for the next 2 years. I may be very busy for the next 2 years. But in year 3, I've created space for myself to be able to be healthy, to be able to invest in my family well, to be able to invest in our legacy well. And it's not all about work.
Right.
So.
That I'd relate to that.
Yes,
me and Chrissy
100%.
like we relate to that, but me and Chrissy also both run our own businesses as well, and we're in that same season, and I feel like it's like double hard at the moment because she's in that same thing of like growth, and we're like, this is just delayed gratification and just like making those sacrifices to say it's going to pay off like a few years down the road, making these legacies for our family.
Yeah, because I mean, you could go and get a 9 to 5.
Yeah, but
would you be able to say that that's fulfilling to you? Like, and some people are made to do it, and I'm not one,
I personally feel like I am made to do this like entrepreneurial business thing, because waking up and having something new every single day is way more life-giving than the monotony of like walking in and clocking in and doing the same thing. Right. Even if I was doing a creative job, like being able to come in here and go like, what's our new goal? How we're going to get to that and solving those problems. Just, it's really hard and it's really stressful, but I wouldn't trade it for a 9 to 5.
Yeah. And I find like for me, like one of the most important and enjoyable parts of it is the process, the growth that happens in the process. So I have a Volkswagen bus. It doesn't run. I've had it for 3 years. I've been working on this. I worked really hard for a year and a half and got it to a really great spot. And then, pandemic happened, wife lost her job, like business changes, everything like that. I haven't been able to invest in it anyways, but I could like save up the money and just go buy one, and enjoy it. But at the same time, I wouldn't enjoy it because it wasn't mine. Like right. I really thrive and like enjoy the process of taking it, falling through the floor because there's rust in it, and like taking the floor out, putting a new floor in, and like building it up to where like, and I look at it today and it's not perfect. There's tons of imperfection. And even now, like even a year further down the road from whenever it got its exterior painted, and I like look at it, I'm like, golly, you could have done that so much better. And there's tons of things. And it's like, well, the next one we'll get it, But at the same time, like I was tackling a huge task that I had no earthly idea how to do. And then I look at it and like, that's what's been enjoyable, not the fact that, because I'm still not driving it, and that's fine. But, you know, but like, I can still look at that and be very proud and enjoy it because of the process and the amount of growth that I experienced during that, and just learning how to do it. You know, that's what's been really fulfilling. And I find that within my business, within all sorts of stuff in life, I think that's what I enjoy more than just the end result. Because like when I make a sign and I make it and then I put it up and it's something I put a lot of detail into and everything like that, it's like, cool, it's done. But what I had fun was in the process of problem solving, figuring out the solution, figuring out a way to do it. Like one of the things I'm most driven by is like small businesses. It's so hard to run a business in today's day. Like it's like in businesses that are small, that have been around for a little while, that still survive the pandemic and stuff like that, it's just even harder to run your business. And so like something that's really fun for me is being able to figure out creative ways to accomplish their goals, create signage for them while staying within the budget they need, and them not having to make a huge sacrifice to be able to get their name and brand out there. Like, and it's fun for me because there's a problem and I get to solve it, you know. And so, yeah, I think that's the part of all of it. You know, I just enjoy the process, and that's what drives me.
I think that's a valuable lesson that a lot of people need, because I a lot of times focus on the end result more than the process. But like loving the process of anything is really important to like be good at a craft. Whether we both have backgrounds of fitness, and like that's the same like method that you're supposed to just like really love the process more than the end result, and that gets you to that end result better.
I think in a lot of ways I'm the same way as far as just like editing a song or something. I'm not in a hurry. Like I just like doing it, so I'll just do it for like a month.
I need whatever y'all got, because I'm like,
no, but
I just need it done.
It's a cool thing, and I get like gratification, like monetary goals. Like I don't vibe with that for whatever reason. There are things that I just do and feel fulfillment from, and so I feel like I need to lean into those things. But that is like the process. It's like the doing. And so I have to like reverse engineer my goals. Yep. And so it's like, I enjoy doing these things. What I really need to do is provide for my family and all these things. And then like kind of come up with that long game, and like business and what we're doing is kind of like a vehicle to get those things accomplished.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of...
Well, because like for me, and this may just be because I'm weird, but like at the end when it's done, it's like, well, now what? Yeah. You know, like when I make that and I put it up, it's like, you know, I put somebody's sign up and then I walk and I drive away. It's done. You know, the only thing I've got going now is when I drive by, I'd be like, hey, look, I made that sign, you know, like, and so I don't enjoy the process. Like I don't enjoy it anymore because it's finished and complete. And so like the parts that are really fun and are driving and a driving force for growth and everything like that is the process of making it happen, because the end goal is it's finished. Right. So then what, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think that's why I like making songs, because at least it's more than just like looking at something like it's done. You can be like experience it again.
Yeah, and you can always go back into
I need to redo this, and so it ends up in another session, and that's
and we are all like, all of our crafts are like things that people can experience in a different way. And our business is much like yours, is like you were saying, you wanting to help these mid-sized businesses like thrive, and that's what our whole mission about Elevate is, to like put these people's brands on the same playing field as these large corporations that are maybe are like national chains.
Yeah, and you do a great job at that. The stuff that we've been able to work together on and put out, like I'm super excited for everybody to see it. Yeah. And like but it also feels like it's not real at the same point. Like when I see the stuff that you guys send to me and I look at it and I watch it, I'm like, how the heck did they make me look like I knew what I was doing there? It was just fun.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite project you've done?
I knew you had asked this question.
Okay, let's break it down. Let's do, I want to know OAKLAWN Studios. What was your favorite
very
project?
Helpful. Thank you. Yeah. Let's see. We did a video that was called "Full of Myself." It was a cover of a band Camino song, and it was really hard to do. We did a one-shot take, and
so who all is this? Is this just City Church, the whole band?
No, so this is
the
a
City
group
Boys?
of guys called the City Boys,
City Boys,
which we're all people
yeah.
that go to City Church, but they would go to bars and do covers and stuff like that. So we did a cover of this song and did it with Edward Crockett, and so what was really the thing about it, we call them OAKLAWN sessions, and the thing was it wasn't dubbed over. Like what you heard was
It was an actual
real.
live take.
Yeah, and which is very challenging.
You do very good live recording sessions. It's impressive. That's a hard thing to pull off.
That was kind of my. I saw an Alan Stone video where he was at a lodge, and I don't remember. He's like a Bear Creek studio or something like that. And you watched it and you could tell that it was live and it was real. And I was like, that is what I want. And so I built that business off of, I want to make videos like this that feel like this. And I think whenever we first did our project, the first project we ever did, I sent that video to you and said, this is the goal. This is what we're going for. And so, yeah, but that one was a one take a shot that we did. And Edwards was in the middle of the room and everybody was circled up. We were in this old warehouse space and like people had different parts and stuff like that. And so it was a really like fluid, it was very challenging to do. It was very challenging to make it sound good too. Cause like one of the things I have always with the music, I was like, I want you to watch this video and for it to sound like what it looks like, which means I did a lot of untraditional stuff with mixing and things like that. I would double up the vocal mics and compress the heck out of them because it would give you a lot of room ambience and stuff like that. And so I just did stuff that were by the book, not right. And it got me in trouble in school sometimes because I would use a lot of these projects for projects within school. And then I'd send them. I can remember one specific one that I sent to a professor and was like, hey, this is, here's the mix. And he was like, what are you doing? Like, this is not correct. And I was like, okay, I hear you. You're probably right. Here, watch this. Here's the video. Here's the video feed and listen to it, and watch the video. And then it would click for him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and that's all I ever wanted to do. So that was probably, that one was really fun. And we were actually able to get it in front of the band Camino, and they loved it.
They shared it.
Yeah, and so that one was super super fun.
And you doing that craft. They shared the video from the City Boys, and then Matt got to go play saxophone at the concert.
Yeah,
you got to go watch him play that song.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was really that was really cool.
That was a really fun one.
Super cool. Okay, OAKLAWN Shop then.
OAKLAWN Shop. Okay. Let's see. There's two projects that have to be mentioned. So there was one where I took an old water fountain and I ripped it out of the wall and I built this wood cabinet that had this beautiful curve to it and everything, and it became like a water bottle filling station. Had water purification and everything like that. But we ripped this ugly old water fountain out of the wall, put this beautiful piece in, and it just looks so good. It's one of those really that nice. Still catches me every time I walk by, and I'm like, yeah, that one worked. And then another one was I made some theater doors for a home theater. Had zero idea what I was doing. It was super challenging, and I made them, and it looked so good. I was super proud of how that turned out, and
I love how I get to shoot all these projects.
Yeah, you're I know that.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, and
those were impressive.
Those were fun because I didn't start with a door. I started with plywood and built doors. And that one was super challenging. And I also I didn't have a shop at the time, so I was making them. I can remember I had a picnic bench as my or a picnic table as what I was building these on top of. Nice. It was just super challenging and everything like that. But those turned out really well, and I'm very proud of those.
And that's the perfect example of you can't go on Amazon and find those doors.
Right. And that was kind of the
I don't know
process.
You can't get anything similar to that. Those were just really awesome.
Not without paying $5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah. So those are really cool.
And now sign company.
I think I know the answer for the sign one.
If it's not Splash, don't even say it. Splash looks amazing, and that was a
Thank
big
you.
job.
Yes.
I know.
That's just
We
the
can
whole
dive into
facility is
that.
just ridiculous.
It's crazy.
That one still feels like weird that it worked out. Like
Well,
that
like
one.
you kept posting stuff. I was like, dang, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And then you'd post more, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then you'd post more.
I also didn't know how much we needed a scissor lift for Elevate, but
Yeah, that was pretty
I
nice.
miss working on a scissor lift. That was super fun. I think my favorite project I've done was I created a monument sign that was completely wrapped in cedar, and it was all cedar wood. But then that one was super good. But the other part of that same job was I actually made standoff block letters that mounted to the building, and I made those out of cedar. And just the contrast of the cedar on the black wall, it looks so good. And that's like I think the most like beautiful work that I've had the chance to do with
How
that.
did you laser cut that or CNC
So
it? Or?
So what I did was I took a piece of, because it's hard you can't really find like sheets of cedar or anything like that. So I had a lot of surface area. So I took a piece of plywood, and then I took a bunch of the cedar tongue and groove that you can buy at like Home Depot that's really thin, and I laminated it, glued it all to the plywood, and then I cut it out with a CNC machine. Yeah.
wow, that's awesome.
And then mounted it on the wall, and that was very hard to do because the wall was actual stone, and it was just nasty. But it worked out great. And
But wood on stone is just a really sick look.
yeah, and it's like a really dark black stone, and
just the
yeah,
depth
it
and-
just pops
yeah.
so well.
That's almost like a good combination of OAKLAWN shop and sign, because it's a
Yeah.
very
Yeah, they bridged
sure.
quite a bit. Yeah. But the splash job has been a game changer. So we like, and that was just a testament of being willing to do sucky work. At one point, like what got me that job was they had opened up an indoor facility. So Splash is a car wash company. They are a really quickly fast. They're kind of exponentially growing right now.
They're
which
the
is
Chick-fil-A
awesome.
of car washes.
Yes, that's a good way to say it.
what I
They'd be
heard.
really happy
Yeah.
to hear you say that.
Good culture, quick,
Yeah.
good at what they do.
Incredible branding, very clean. So they built an indoor car wash in Maumelle. And so from the moment you drive in, you get your car wash detailed and everything inside the building. They took an old Walmart and like ripped it out and put a car wash inside, which is just, it's nuts and innovative and really awesome. But they had a sign company that came in and did everything, but they had these garage doors when you enter the building that automatically open and close, but there wasn't any there was no communication to say, hey, this automatically opens. So they were getting bottlenecked really bad because people didn't know if they pulled forward it would open. And they called me on a buddy. They asked a buddy about doing it, and he wasn't able to do it. So he's like, hey, is this something you could do? And it was on a Saturday, and they closed at 8:30 at night. And they were kind of in a panic. They'd only been open a couple of days, and it was a real issue for them. And Sam, my wife, was in Las Vegas at a conference for her job. So it was just me and the dog. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything else. Might as well go down there. So I went down there at 8:30 at night, put these things on, and, that meant a lot to them. And they reached out that next Monday, early in the morning, was like, hey, I honestly, it hadn't crossed our mind that this is stuff that you could do. We're opening another location that's built the same way. It's a little bit bigger. Would you take a look at Maumelle and tell me if there's anything that you can't do? And so I went up there and really looked hard, and there was so much stuff I've never done in that building. And so, of course, I was like, I can do it.
Yeah.
And so
we're all like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, but it was one of those, there's forks that come in the road, and you can choose yes or no, or you can choose left or right, and they make all the difference in everything. And that's how this was. It was one of those situations where, all right, Zach, do you want to do this for real or not? Do you want to take this to the step that you've been telling everybody that you're going to do? Is this going to be what, this is your opportunity to take this from your self-employment season to where this business can operate itself. And and I was super like outmatched. It was a really, really big job. 35,000 square foot. There were over 100 individual units of branding or signage or stuff like that. Like,
and it's all different kinds of, it's like vinyl,
yeah,
and it's
also all different stuff.
metal.
Now, everything in there I had done at some point, but I've never done all of it within a single job.
And what was the like turnaround time on this?
Very quick. I think we got asked about it in where it became a serious conversation in October, and they were planning to open. They opened late January, so that sounds like a lot of time, but it's
No, it
not.
doesn't.
Because
It doesn't sound like a lot of time to
for
me.
the scale that this was.
in that time, I had to go and quote everything.
Right.
I had to like source all the material, and it's a large volume of stuff. I had to, and I actually had to figure out how to create some of it. Like I had to, like there was stuff that I hadn't done before that I had to figure out how to do really quickly, and then I actually had to execute it. So, and this is just another testament to like sometimes the work just sucks, but it makes all the difference. So we got there the day, let's see, the 27th of December is when I started installing, and I got there at 8 a.m. ready to go. I walk in, and the place is full of construction workers, and they were experiencing a ton of construction delays, and it became very apparent right then, this is not going to work. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this because these people are going to be in my way. I'm going to be in their way. I need things to be clean. I need things to be quiet. Like, we've got so much stuff happening. There's no way this can work. And so I went to the contractor and I was like, hey, look, man, do I have permission to come here at night and work? And he was like, yeah, sure. I don't know why you want to do that, but yeah, you can. And because it was pretty clear, if I don't come in at night and do this, there's no way I can get it done in the time that we need to do it, because I don't have a crew of 7 people. Like, it was me, and then I hired my brother while he was on Christmas break from college, and he and I did the entire facility. And so in the last week of work, I didn't have him because he had started back up at school. And so and it worked, and it sucked, and but like it propelled the business to a whole new season of life. And that's where I'm kind of getting to sit and enjoy it right now, is because we're making moves to move into a shop space. We're making moves to hopefully bring on an employee soon. Like,
yeah, that's like the crazy, you somehow pulled that off without a shop.
Yeah. So I worked out of a 350 square foot like room,
it's like a closet.
a detached garage, a single unit. Yeah, garage that used to be my recording studio, and it fit way better as a recording studio. Yeah. But yeah, I built all of it. So like, I think the whole room is like 15 foot wide, and at one point I was making a 6 foot in diameter sign that took up almost half of the room. Like, and so it was. But just nuts.
The thing about it is, there's potentially other sign companies that would have performed the job during the day with the construction workers there, and just been like, this is the environment I have to install in. And that's what I'm doing.
Well, and what really helped me was they had a very bad experience with their sign company before, and the big thing was the company wasn't willing to be flexible, and they're a very fast-paced, high-volume, quickly operating business, and they wanted to open up 5 locations over the span of like 2 years. But because of the pandemic and construction delays, material delays, it came into all these 5 locations are opening within the same year. And so they're like, just going nuts trying to make it happen, because they've already bought the land. They've already financed the loans.
Delayed on everything. They got to just get it all going.
And so it's been one after another. But, and then another situation that came up with that was there was the day that they opened, they were open for a couple hours and then they got shut down by the city. And so like a fire marshal had came, done their inspection, everything like that, gave them an operating license, a temporary operating license, and the city inspector came in and immediately shut them down for some stuff that was just bogus. But in my opinion, it was bogus. Who knows? They have their job for a reason. Anyways, but it was like my first day. Yeah, we were there the day before doing a little bit of stuff. It was my first day that I like slept past 6 a.m. First day that I hadn't been working nights, and I was like, I'm gonna take this a little chill, and then at like 1 o'clock, or I guess it was like 11 o'clock, they called me in an utter panic. I've never heard these guys like so worked up and like before. And they're like, hey, we got shut down. Is there any way you can come down and make some signs to get us open back up? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. So I drove quickly down to Little Rock, got them, made the fastest signs I've ever made in my life, and got them opened up. I got it done in time for they were able to bring the inspector back in and get their opening license. And that, like, doing that kind of stuff is what set me up to be able to say now I'm their exclusive sign provider. And that's huge for the business. That's gonna propel us. That lays the foundation for the business beginning to operate itself, because it has, like, consistent work that I can count on, that I can budget with, like, and it's not just going and hunting from one job to another. And that's really hard to do, like really hard to swallow and say, yeah, I'll drop everything on my first day off and then come down and do everything, But at the same time, that's what separates the willingness to do that, is what, like, builds customers for the long term and separates me from the other guys, And so,
and I feel like that's kind of the testament to, like, starting a business and the sacrifice it takes, because a lot of businesses aren't going to show up and do it overnight.
Especially
like, we were there videoing a lot of that.
You're not even an employee. It's like,
and one day I may not be able to do that, but right now I am, and right now it makes the difference.
And it's going to make or break the business. It was like being willing to do those things and make those short-term sacrifices for that the greater good of the long term of the business. It just speaks to your work ethic too. It's like you not only do a good job, but you're willing to do the sucky parts of it and, like, just show up. And, like, we were there and you were out late. I would leave and you'd still be there doing signs and you're just, like, grinding.
Yeah. And it's been really fulfilling. It's been like, that's going to be one of those things when, 5 years from now, hopefully I'm able to say, hey, we're in a really good spot. These are the decision moments that made that possible. And, that's what I'm kind of banking on. So,
and I think that is what makes a wise business owner of, like, hey, we're in I feel like we're in that spot right now too, of, like, we're putting in hours that is not your 9 to 5. And it's just like, this is a pivotal point in the business that every decision we make right now is going to change the trajectory of where we end up in the next few years. And you're in that we're all kind of walking through that same thing at the same time.
And the beautiful thing about that is it's nothing to be afraid of.
Right.
It's terrifying. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but it's not something that you need to be afraid of and try to avoid. Like, this is the stuff that, like, these pivot moments, these forks in the road, they make the difference between, you getting to achieve your goals and you being stuck and leading to a point of resentment and burnout. Like, being willing to seize those opportunities, being willing to go a little bit extra. Like, the worst possible thing as a business owner that you could do, especially in these moments of growth, is to be like, well, that's not my job, because, like, that puts a an end date on, what you're willing to do, and that'll choke you really quick.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, there is a wisdom to, like, going, that's probably a bad decision.
Sure,
like,
and that's probably one of the areas of growth that I really need is the willingness to say, no, I don't think we're a good fit for that. I can get kind of caught up and go overextend myself to make something happen, and then at the end of the day, I either didn't make any money and I spent all my time, or, like, it just failed,
Yeah.
It's hard to, like, say no to projects that you want. Like, I want to be able to do that, so I'm going to say yes, and then it's like, well, I didn't have the capacity and all that.
Yeah. And I think about, like, we almost acquired a business together and we would have hated our life.
That would have been such a bad idea.
It was like, it sounded like a good idea at the time, but we would have not been able to commit the same amount of time to our current businesses.
What was this?
One of our friends had a glamping business where they, like, people pay, like, kind of like Airbnb type thing. They set up these really fancy, like, tents for parties and stuff. Yeah. And we're like, we have the skills of, like, the marketing side and the signs and things like that we could buy this and create some kind of like passive income on the side, which the goal would have been to hire people to do the groundwork, but it would have ended up being a lot more work for us, and we probably would still be doing that and hating our lives at the moment.
Yeah, because we would have gotten stuck in something that we thought we were going to make that decision because it was an opportunity to make money, not because we were driven to it.
Exactly.
And that would have made all the difference. And luckily, we
had the wisdom to say,
had,
this is not what we're passionate about, so we're not going to do this.
And like because you do that, if you do it just with the idea, oh, there's potential for money, there was, it would have taken some work to get there, but at the same time, the risk that we have was
we would have been cussing at each other.
Yeah, we wouldn't be friends sitting right now. You know, like so. Yeah, you know, it's not that's just the stuff that you've gotta gauge. And I've had opportunities to do other things, and you know, people asking, you know, hey, you want to invest in this, or hey, you want to join in on this journey, and like, but there's got to be a willingness to just face the fact and ignore the numbers for a minute and say, okay, if I do this every day, am I going to have the drive to go and do this when it's not convenient to do it? Like, am I going to have the passion to do this whenever everything kind of sucks? To like push forward. And if you can't say yes to those things, then you got to be very careful, because you can get yourself hurt. Now, if we were buying that business just to put 6 months in and flip it and turn around and sell it,
that would have been a different thing.
Might have worked, but that wasn't what was on the table. I don't think
realistically the numbers would have done that.
Right.
But and I think that's but that it's like later down the road, if we had the financial resources to buy it and go, we're not going to do any work, it's just be a financial thing. That's a whole different scenario. But we would have had to commit so much of our time that it would have actually hindered Elevate and OAKLAWN.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably wouldn't be where we're at right now.
Yeah.
So I'm like 100%. Thankful that we aren't co-business owners.
Me
too.
Me too, but maybe all three of us can at some point.
I think we would all work really well
there's
together. There's something
yeah.
eventually that we could all just excel at.
We tried to get a studio space with you, Zach, and it didn't work out.
Well, you know,
I think his machines would have ruined our podcast room.
Yeah.
So
I was really looking forward to like a CNC running while we're trying to record audio.
Right, that would have been really productive.
It would have been cool, but at some point I see something.
There's something down the road. It's bound to happen.
How about you like at least make us signs?
You make us signs, we'll make you videos, and we'll keep that relationship going. So
thought about it, I'm in.
Thought about it, I'm in.
Yep. Man.
This is the part that we cut out, right? Where we're thinking of the next thing to say.
I mean,
well, I was gonna say, how long have we been going?
I have no idea.
I think that's around an hour. If
we've been going for an hour.
Yep. So I think that we've covered a lot of things.
Yeah.
If we just want to say, all right, that's it.
Well, I think you just said it. That's it.
Zach,
thanks for hanging out with us. And
hey, thanks for having me.
It really is.
You've really pointed out a lot of my weak points that I need to work on.
Hey, I'm glad I could do that.
I'm really thankful for that. So, but in all reality, both of you guys challenge me to like grow and be better all the time. So I'm thankful to be surrounded by.
I get to
people like you guys.
We get to work close to, and what's beautiful is that like we do have very different things happening. Like we're in very different fields, but at the same time, we're getting to find ways to work together a lot.
There's overlap,
and it's like, really fun.
It's all like in the marketing realm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like digital versus like physical. So,
which is great.
Yeah. So we don't like compete against each other.
No.
But it's perfect.
For now.
He's like, I'm coming for you.
I got ideas.
Yep.
Well, it was good to hear like your full trajectory from your mouth. And I've been watching you kind of from afar. It's been really cool to watch. And I'm excited to move into Conway and start working a lot more closely with everybody. And
yeah.
Just see where all of these things end up.
I'm also excited to do another one of these podcasts in like a year or two and be
See
like,
what
holy
happens
crap,
then.
how like far we've come with all these things.
Yeah, I'm there too. Like it's like man, in the last 6 months, what's happened has been unreal.
Yeah.
You're going to
be sponsored by Milwaukee the next time.
Well,
you're here.
I hope so. We'll see.
But Tough Build is a great company too.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're great. They're and that's
I've like wanted to buy the tools and I don't even know how to do things with tools.
They have a cool thing. I had never really heard of them, and now they're like. Maybe it's just I'm aware because of your stuff, but it looks
that's
legit.
Been cool. That's a whole other
means
topic
it's working
for someday.
Yeah,
because the way I was really intentional and strategic about the way I approached that situation too, and so someday we'll have to talk about that. That's been really cool to dive into.
Sweet. Well, we'll let you get back to the rest of your day.
Yep,
and
I got a whole lot to do.
Yep.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
My ears are so hot.